One last cast. It seemed like a good idea at the time. Like many ill-fated expeditions, this one started with a maximum of enthusiasm and a minimum of planning and forethought. Our goal was to locate a fabled lake on the rocky ridges outside our village, which was rumored to be full of hungry fish. A holy grail for a 12-year-old boy obsessed with fishing. When my brother and a couple of cousins packed up our rucksacks and drinks, lunch and bait, took our rods, our hearts full of youthful hope. I can't remember if we told anyone specifically where we were going, but as later events will show, we must have let someone know about the expedition. Let me say in my defense, we often left the house in the morning with only a very general idea of where we were going, and probably an equally vague explanation to our mother. Those were different times. It was a beautiful summer day, and we set off in high spirits. We rode to the jump-off point where we cached our bikes by a deserted cabin. Then we set off uphill into the forest in the general direction in which we believed the lake must lie. The Ontario forest is often dense and overgrown, but we persevered and soon broke out onto some higher rocky ridges. Following our instincts, we pushed on, and then we saw it. Sunlight reflecting on the waters through the trees, we had found the lake. It looked beautiful, nestled in a rocky basin surrounded by mature pines. It seemed everything that we could want in a lost watery treasure. We soon found a rocky ledge by the water, perfect for fishing. We unlimbered our rods and made the long-anticipated first cast. Fish, hungry smallmouth bass, just as the legend foretold, and lots of them. Dreams do come true. I think we arrived at the lake in early afternoon. We fished and picnicked and fished some more. Our stringers were loaded with plump bass. The sun was sinking towards the treetops. Here's where the plot thickens. We probably should have packed up and left, but I had a plan. So, one more cast. While exploring the lakeshore on the way to our fishing ledge, I had spotted a trail leading in the direction of the road. I was positive this was the official trail to the lake and would provide an efficient bushwhacking freeway out, getting us to our bikes in a fraction of time we took getting in. Therefore, no need to rush. Therefore, one more cast. That's when we heard the village church bells ring. In our village, it was common practice to ring the church bells if anyone was missing in the bush, in the hope that this would guide them back to civilization. So our immediate reaction, wow, someone is lost. I wonder who it is. One more cast. Then we heard the gunshots. This was another tried and true method to draw poor lost souls back to the land of the living. At this point, a sneaking suspicion, but not yet a fear, began to creep into my mind. Could we be possibly the lost souls? How could we be in danger? We knew exactly where we were. The path to the road, I assumed, was just a few feet along the shore. Surely no one could be worried about a group of seasoned ridge runners like us. One more cast. Well, I suppose from my youthful perspective this made sense. But now as a father, grandfather, and great-grandfather, I know how worry can come upon us when our children are involved. The vision of miles and miles of trackless bush swallowing up young boys would surely do that. One last cast, and we quickly packed up and made a hasty retreat from the lake. As I had supposed, the trail did lead us back to the road. We hurried to our bikes to find a beehive of activity. Vehicles parked and men milling about. Our worst fear was confirmed. We were assumed lost in the bush after our bikes had been found, and we had not responded to the bells or gun shots. I saw my father's old red truck, and his presence was confirmed when one of the men said a man with a flaming red mustache was up in the bush organizing a search party. My father had a handsome red mustache, but when it ignited, we knew we were in serious trouble. We waited in fearful anticipation as someone went up the hill to let the incipient search party know we had been found. The flaming red mustache soon emerged from the bush carrying a .30-30 rifle, and a frightful tongue-lashing was forthcoming, accompanied by intense fatherly relief, I'm sure. I remember I was somewhat indignant at the time, thinking my expedition leading skills were not being fully appreciated. Our bikes were loaded in the truck, and we were transported in disgrace back home for further interrogation and infamy. As the leader, I took the brunt. The stringer of fish hung in the backyard overnight, forgotten in the hubbub. The next morning, I quietly buried them in the bush beside our house. I have never been back to the lake, but I'm sure it rests peacefully in the tall pines and rocky ridges, waiting to be rediscovered by some fishful thinking boys someday soon.